unable to do anything meaningful in the brewery, we quickly decided to make Molotov cocktails for the army, for the army and for the civil defense forces, which were forming immediately in and around Lviv for road blocking the major inroads into the city. Some of them went to Kiev, although it's not a very good transportation thing. So the version that we made for Kiev was a little kind of IKEA style, was a bit of parts that then you finally assemble at the final point. Many of them were used for the roadblocks around Lviv, and sometimes now the roadblocks are no longer in use. They are there, they're constructed, but they're not manned anymore. And sometimes when I go driving or cycling around the city, I still see our Molotov cocktails there, the remains of them. They're no longer valid, they cannot be used anymore. But this was this. And I think by pure coincidence, the city was full of war journalists, and the city was full of top journalists from all over the world. They got stuck in Lviv because they couldn't go to Kiev because people were escaping. The citizens of Kiev were escaping Kiev in hundreds of thousands. So there were maybe 100 or 200 journalists in Lviv. They didn't have much to do, didn't have much to write about and film about. So they descended on this story of a small craft brewery doing Molotov cocktails like vultures, in a good way for us, of course. And this suddenly made us very visible for maybe a good reason. But I would of course prefer to be visible for excellent beers, for beer awards, for good things, but for breakthrough technologies in barrel aging or whatever, and not for this. But this happened. What happened, and we immediately were very visible. I honestly didn't know how I could not turn my brewery into an instrument of earning money for the army, for helping the army, for buying something for drones or gear protection or tactical gear or whatever, or weapons, because we were short of any cash because we were preparing for summer season. So we brewed a lot of beer, all our tanks were full, and suddenly we didn't have anywhere to sell this beer. So I even had an issue of keeping the team sourced with money and keeping them on board. And of course, I didn't want to lose any of the valuable team members. And to turn this sudden being famous into something monetary, not for us, but for donations. So we decided, and also we couldn't go out to brew our collaboration beers anywhere in Belgium or in Germany or in the UK or in the US as we would have done, because men between 18 and 60 are not were not allowed to leave the country for obvious reasons. So we decided to kind of outsource our beers to the world, to make it possible to brew our beers anywhere. And we selected 5 recipes for that. And the reasons for those particular beers were different. Some of them had very telling labels, like Putin Khuilo label. Some of them were award winners, like gold medal at the Brussels Beer Challenge, like the Red Ice beer, the American Red Ale. And also we tried to keep a bit of a balanced range. So one of the beer was a heavy imperial stout, also an award winner. Another was a lighter American red ale. Another was a Blanche Belgian style, like the Hoegaarden, but in a good way, brewed in a craft way. So we wanted to close all varieties of beers that people would have liked to brew. Then between us, I've shared a recipe of Zenik, our blonde ale, to another UK brewer, because they actually wanted to have a basic blonde ale. So there was 6 beers that we disclosed. This has actually sparked a flash mob of craft brewers, which was very touching and very unexpected. We hoped for maybe 5 to 10, maybe 15 brewers, our friends that we know personally, that would raise the flag of brewing Ukrainian beers. But the craft beer community in the world has shown a superb sense of support, camaraderie, and friendliness. And I think we ended up, Vern, you have probably the latest figure. We ended up with almost 800 breweries of different sizes, and maybe even a higher figure could be. This could even be a higher figure, because I know many smaller brewers and home brewers. They took our recipes and brewed our beers without even registering at Brew for Ukraine initiative.